So while I am still buried behind a mountain of backlog, I did make enough headway through it recently that I feel like I have the opportunity to talk about a little gift I received a couple months back from my good friend Beltfed. It's Mechanic Toys Steam Age Sergeant. That's Hearts of Steel Bumblebee to people who don't speak license infringement. But first, your likes! Please give and maybe subscribe. It's rare to find a third-party figure that feels so chug, and in a good way. This really feels like it can go on your shelf right next to your War for Cybertron and Legacy figures and not look out of place. You know, outside of being kind of a swole steampunk Bumblebee, but that's just because of the comic he comes from, not because this looks like it was manufactured to inherently stand apart. And the good news is, this is only the price of a leader class, which, yes, he is kind of small for one, but this is third-party, not Hasbro. They need to charge more to make the same profit. And honestly, $50 is extremely reasonable for this. For those who don't understand why third-party isn't greedy like Hasbro is a lot of the time, despite charging more, it's because of something called economies of scale. Forgive me if you already know this song and dance, but what an economy of scale is that it is easier to make a whole bunch of the same thing than it is to make smaller quantities. Basically, if you make 100,000 of something, that will cost you, to keep the math simple, a tenth of the price per copy you make than if you just made 1,000. Now, ultimately, you are spending 10 times more because you are making so much more of it, but at the end, if you have the money to invest in that many copies, you wind up with so much more to sell, and can now do so for less. However, if you don't have the money to invest in that many copies, you end up in this vicious cycle, where you can't make as much, so the fewer copies that you can make cost more, so you can make even fewer, so they cost even more. And according to my contact at MMC, a first run of one of their figures is only 3,000 copies. That means when a new MMC figure hits the market, there are only 3,000 in the world, and 3,000 is a small economy of scale. The figure costs a lot to make, so they cost more to sell. So seeing a figure that is this cheap from a third party is kind of a rarity, and not because they phoned it in. Well, okay, they phoned in the glue on the headlamps that attach them to his shins. A fairy's single teardrop would contain more glue than they used to stick these down, and tears are made of salt and water. These will get knocked off with no effort. Honestly, you should probably just intentionally pull these off and glue them back down yourselves if you get this. And you can still get it. It's available for $50 on the Big Bad Toy Store right now, or on eBay. Anyways, allow me to get back on topic, because I don't think I even started there this time. This figure is a little on the light side, but it still feels very well made, with the exception of the headlights. The joints are all smooth and creamy in a really nice way. It holds a pose something fierce, the colors are all crisp and gorgeous, there's not a ton of paint, but what is there is gleaming and clean. This looks like an absolutely great chug rendition of the Hearts of Steel Bumblebee, and its hand feel is to match. And technically, yes, this is not Bumblebee, but that's a stupid plot twist. That just stems from an obsessive need to make everything happen in the same universe, no matter how little sense that makes, even if it requires dragging the GoBots into it, and that is a diseased and evil proposition. This is Bumblebee. He's a steam engine this time. I will hear no arguments to the contrary. And I mean, what a cool look for Bumblebee in general. Bumblebee way too often gets saddled with one of two extremes. He's either beefed up like a motherfucker, or dumpy like an out-of-date pizza roll. We are talking dumpy like a dumpster behind a bad fast food restaurant after they threw away all of their ingredients for causing food poisoning. Dumpy like a grandma who knows how to cook, but doesn't even know what a treadmill looks like. And in G1, the dude was never in need of a mobility scooter, he was just the least fit dude on a team of jacked guys. So here it's really interesting to see them split the difference. He's got a bloated chest, but then beneath that, he's got the washboard abs on a narrow waist and a big, heavily armored aesthetic. The shoulder pauldrons bring so much power to this design, and the shin guards look like they're meant for deflecting cannon fire, which his shoulder pads can provide. They are damn blast effect compatible, which is a top tier decision. This looks like a Bumblebee who can kick ass, but doesn't sacrifice the spirit of the little guy. And the head really helps with that vibe. The hardcore chin strap recontextualizes all the yellow as a helmet, protecting a refrigerator white little baby bean with sharp blue eyes that have that good metallic paint. And honestly, I think there's a bit of a smile pulling at the corners of his mouth in a pretty endearing way. This head projects confidence and reliability and a little bit of goblin energy, so a pretty perfect Bumblehead. Hilarious to see them reinterpret his horns as little bolts jutting out of the sides, a truly solid reinvention of the character we all know. As for accessories, he comes with a section of train track that you have to assemble for his alt mode. This doesn't have too much utility outside of display because you can only get this much, and as far as I know, they haven't released any other Hearts of Steel pots, so it's not like you have more guys to link up the tracks with. Still cool for a display. And then he comes with a hammer. It's nice and solid, and the haft stays a consistent diameter throughout, so he can hold it any way you want, and he does have the wrists for it. I don't know why this is so hard for so many figures to get right. So solid accessories. The track is good if you intend to display him in alt mode, and the hammer is just a fun weapon, even if Bumblebee isn't known as much of a melee fighter. Posability is very normal. Head should have some down, but it just springs back up for some reason, so it's not useful for posing. And a normal rotation. Shoulders pull a 90 and have backwards butterfly, elbows pull a 90, sword wielding wrists, back crunch and maybe a slight ab crunch, legs are unimpeded in all directions, normal 90 knees, mafia knees, and feet with a tilt up, toe down, and a two-part pivot. He's got at least some kind of crunch joint, but for the most part, this dude is a very standard. Once again, just being kind of in line with the vast majority of normal Hasbro figures. I wish he was better in this department, but I can't be mad about what he's got. Now, transformation is really pretty fun. It's more complicated than your average chug, but like, only by a single step up. If you're used to Voyagers and Leaders, this feels like the next stone along that path. It was pretty confusing the first time I went through it myself, but that's just because every assumption I made about how this would work was wrong. Like, I kind of thought that the top was going to wind up being the back, and that was going to be separated from the front by a big flat plate. I don't know why I thought that. I read the comics and I even looked at the box before starting, but I still kept trying to work under the wrong assumptions. As long as you don't follow my folly, then your first time through this should be a lot smoother than mine. And now that I know how to do this without making a fool of myself, I really enjoy the whole process. And the resulting little train boy will surely do my buddy Belt proud. Weird that the Cybertronians didn't try to put any kind of control system on this anywhere, as without one it will draw a lot of attention, but it's just an adorable little Volkswagen Beetle of a tank engine that's basically all furnace. Like, seriously, there are 3 feet of boiler on this thing. This has to move at the speed of a sloth on cough syrup and have as much pulling capacity as a horse that broke its leg and already got a visit from Dr. Shotgun. Still, it's adorable and it rolls really good. Though, on my light box, I assume it's probably going to slide around like Bumblebee thought he was a Zamboni and not a train. An excellent little alt mode. Though, be careful not to grab it by this section, because those panels will pop in and it is a savage pain in the ass to get them back out. So this is an awesome little version of Bumblebee that I think most people would be pretty pleased with. Yes, it costs more than it would if it were to come from Hasbro, but the amount is very reasonable for any company other than them. It will very cleanly fit almost any chug shelf, and it doesn't look super out of place on a Masterpiece one either, easily riding the line between the two aesthetics. The robot mode is awesome, looking a bit more hardcore than Bumblebees often do, without making him into some roided out jock, instead looking like a normal nerd who put on a bunch of armor he made, and that just feels like the dude. The head is great and holds a lot of his personality, the accessories are good and unique. I don't think you're going to find a bit of train track with most other figures, though now that I say that, I do have 3 separate chunks from different things I bought, and he has his iconic hammer. The transformation is really fun, and the alt mode is fantastic. The only negative points of this are the fact that he's $50 for what feels like a big deluxe or a very stretchingly small Voyager, and the fact that his headlights probably need a re-gluing before you can be comfortable that you won't knock them off and lose them when you aren't expecting to. I'd say it's almost like a micro masterpiece. And before we go, let's thank a patron. And this time it's Big Weld with Legacy Shard. I swear this spinner is sentient. Anyways, I just covered Legacy Shard in a review last week. I think it mostly loses the plot in terms of weaponizing, though a few of you showed me a couple of videos of the kinds of shenanigans still capable with this figure, and it's kind of impressive what some people can cook up. I would also like to point out that I had no idea it was official canon that Shard is a woman. Some people got really angry about that. I legit thought that there was literally no lore about the character, and that all the people calling it a her was just fan canon. I'm still going to call this Waspinator, of course, because look at the damn piece of emotionless plastic whose feelings literally are impossible to hurt because it doesn't have any. That's 100% Waspinator. But yes, for those of you who didn't know like me, the QR code you can scan on the boxes actually takes you to a bio where hers tells you it's a she. I will argue that if it's not on the box to be read, no one knows that it exists and it should be put on the actual box in text. Anyways, all that out of the way, it's a solid figure. It poses decently, has solid tolerances, a decent transformation that I was rotating the arms incorrectly so I was putting the rear turbines in the wrong place, and the alt mode is one of the most cohesive of all the weaponizers. So for sure, it's the best of the new Rock Lords. And now it's time for the monthly shoutouts. If you'd like a shoutout yourselves, please just follow the instructions on your screens. I'm not playing around here. I'm losing my mind because every month several people ask for shoutouts without giving me all the information I need. I'll get back to them about how they need to send it. They'll respond, okay, and then still not send me the information I need. Please, for the sake of my sanity, follow these instructions. I ask nothing but you send me the information I need. Admiral Hayden is making Transformers reviews, gameplay videos, and memes over on his channel. Give him a look. The Outlaw Reviews has been at this a while, so let's get him the recognition he deserves. He makes reviews of action figures from DC to McFarlane and Transformers. He's also got an Instagram. Austin is back, and this time you can actually print his upgrade kits, so give those a download if you want to upgrade your old Powercore combiners, Smolder and Steel Shot. Gingerfilms 5 is making Transformers stop motions across 2 almost identically named channels, and he's also making custom figures like Movie Fracture here. Toysdownunder is making videos discussing Transformers that are blowing up well enough that they are getting recommended to me on my homepage naturally. And yeah, they're pretty good, as I've started already watching them before ever getting this shoutout request. Check him out. Igebm is writing lyrics to songs and making lore on Planet Minecraft, talking about Transformers on the TF Wiki and making fanfics there as well. Not Jib calls himself the Glup Shido of Transformers reviewers. Obviously he reviews stuff, and he also makes customs, and he hopes to do media analysis in the future too. Magnum is making shitposts with Lego and Creo, and honestly making better looking Lego Transformers than Hasbro. Happy birthday to Optimus223, whose birthday was 2 months ago. But I never said that your birthday wishes have to come before your birthday. Hope it was a great one. Lydia turns 21 on the 31st of July. Happy birthday in like 30 days, and congratulations on 7 months of hurt! Sebastian wants me to shout out Anti100 on Instagram, whose stuff I've already seen around. Sebastian describes his art as animated but anime, and yeah, that's a pretty good description of it. And he wants me to shout out Brick Spark, who makes adorable little Lego Transformers. Check out his Instagram. Arbitrary Hero is a team of people making Transformers reviews, content about Nintendo games, and they do a lot of stuff like giveaways and charity work, so please give them a look. Maybe sub. Troostertube is back and is still making reviews, stop motions, and video game clips. He's hoping to hit 50 subs before his birthday in September, so let's help get him this birthday gift. MagnetKnight is currently playing through Journey to the Savage Planet and making other gameplay videos, so if that sounds fun to you, check him out. Also, he wants you to check out his friend Swoosh the Mighty's video game channel, where he also posts gaming videos and shorts too. King Kyle is back, and at this point you know what he wants, and that's to help support his family by doing commission work. Please check him out. Lord Vader 1977 is making Transformers reviews and wants to do G2 Prime at 50 subs, Commander Skylynx at 100 subs, and CW Menasor somewhere between there and 300. Give him a look. Mr. Lonrooldle is making Transformers videos using Gotcha Club. He's trying to hit 300 subs by the end of the year, so let's see if we can help him make that. Lastly, DLCedits is making Transformers, Star Wars, Skylanders, and Legends of Zelda edits and memes, and trying to get to 250 subs by July 26th. He's about 100 away. Can we get him there? He also wants you to check out his friend Dinod Edits, who's doing much of the same thing but for Godzilla, and his other friend Rodimus Solo Edits, who does the same thing but for Star Wars and Nintendo. And that's not half of what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.